I'll hit the record button. All right. So Kat already knows most of this. I already shared it with her, but for everyone else,
You have
it. You got it. I know like most of the time when people are sharing about daily tasks or things to do, like personal development is the last thing. But I've realized that putting it first in my day and before I do anything completely changes my results, which I didn't realize until I don't know where I heard it from, where I never really thought about doing it that way. But basically, if two people are doing the exact same activity, like both send out 100 messages, one person practices gratitude and all of that before they send the messages, they'll get way more responses than the person who doesn't, just because of their mindset and their energy that they give off, which I know sounds weird, but it makes a huge difference in your results. So that's why I put that first, is to wake up and practice gratitude by either doing like Marina said, we're doing like the Superwoman pose and like, I'm Jenna Chandonnet, I'm Ambassador Diamond, or just be like, I'm freaking awesome. Like, think of something that you can say to yourself that'll instantly raise your energy level and make you feel better, whatever that phrase is. And then say it throughout the day whenever you are feeling off or down or anything. And even before I send messages, before I respond to host to post, before I do anything, I'll say something to myself, like for host to post, I'll be like, everyone is excited about the products and want to buy from me and place large orders. Like I'll just say that in my head really quickly or out loud to Haley, because you know she doesn't care. And it makes a huge, huge difference. Did you want to add anything, Krista, to that?
I just love that so much, Jenna, and I really appreciate that you are emphasizing to put it first. And you've been doing this business for long enough that you've already seen the results for yourself, so you know that it works.
Yeah.
And really, it might seem silly, but like honestly, don't we all want to sign more customers, more distributors, and make more money and make more of an impact? So who cares? Just freaking do it. I love that.
Yeah. And it takes like 5 seconds to do. And
it takes no time at all. Yeah.
And going with that is when you like wake up in the morning to also visualize your day and like your perfect day, and just thinking of things that you want to get done or things you want to accomplish both for your business and in your personal life. And that just kind of programs your brain to put it out in the universe and just make it happen, which is also been a game changer for me. And a lot of people are wanting to know, like, okay, what's the secret? One thing that's gonna make me be successful? And that is personal development, not just listening or, you know, learning and doing that, but actually implementing what you learn. Because if you listen to all the things and hop on all the corporate trainings and our trainings, but you don't actually implement it, then nothing actually changes. And that was another game changer for me as well, because I was like listening to books and doing all the things, but I like thought I was doing all the things, but I wasn't really implementing anything. And that's where the success factor is actually implementing everything.
Which sounds like it should be obvious, but it's really not. And I think implementation, we get in our own way because something is out of our comfort zone, or we don't know how to do it, or it intimidates us. So, you know, early on in this business, I know Jenna and I were told to really get uncomfortable. And that's where a lot of the growth happens. So I think implementation can sometimes be really uncomfortable. So good for you for actually forcing yourself to do it, because that you're right.
It's very, that's what I remind myself. Like if it's scary, then I need to do it.
Yeah.
About 6 weeks ago, I was on a Zoom with Marina, and she reached out to me afterwards and sent me a voice clip and said something like, every time I'm on a Zoom that you're on, you're always smiling and it makes my day and blah, blah, blah. And I told her I'm having a hard time, like feeling like to go in the morning. And she says to me, jump out of bed in such a way that the devil knows you're awake. I was like, okay, I could do
that. And that just sets the tone for the day. Like, I am here. Get out of my way. And then with all of the other activities, you either want to set a timer for a certain amount of time, or say I'm going to do so much of this activity, because for some reason, for setting a timer for me like makes me more anxious. So either set a timer for 15 minutes, or say I'm going to send out 15 messages or 20 messages or whatever it is, and that actually frees up space in your brain, because if you don't like pre-qualify, like I'm going to do it for this amount of time or like this quantity, then subconsciously you're always thinking, okay, when am I going to be done? Like how much longer? What's next? What about this? What about that? And knowing what you're set out to do, that just frees up more space in your brain to actually get the activities done. So with prospecting, you want to be actually asking people if they're open to either the business opportunity or the products. And I like to either set a timer for 15 minutes or say I'm going to sit down, I'm going to send out 15 or 20 messages. Or a lot of times I'll just say I'm going to send 10 because that seems really doable. And then I end up 20 minutes go by and I send out 30 or 50. And then I just try and repeat that throughout my day as I have downtime, if that all makes sense. And then following up, you want to make sure you're doing that daily, because actually 80% of sales happen between the 5th and the 12th contact. So a lot of times we'll reach out and follow up once or maybe twice, and then we're like, oh, I don't know what to do. But if you keep following up and keep on the top of their mind and are consistent with posting, then when their circumstances changes or when they're like, oh, now I want this, they're going to come to you.
You taught me early that until they say don't bother me anymore or block me, to continue following up.
Yeah. Because you actually have people that like, thank you for following up with me because this happened or that happened, or sometimes they look at it and forget to respond. Like you never know.
We always think that they should have us top of mind because it's our business. So we spend, a lot of our waking hours like thinking about it or being exposed to it, because we're getting notifications constantly from like the team pages or our coworkers or whatever. And it's not like that for them, like I have honestly forgotten that I've talked to people about certain products because I'm busy and I have a lot on my mind, and their business is not top of mind for me. It is for them. Yeah. So when you feel like you're harassing people, you're actually really not. You're just being like, oh, remember that thing that you said you wanted? And they're like, oh yeah, right. Okay. So really getting out of that mindset of like, oh, I'm harassing people and I'm bothering them was huge for me. I know.
Yeah. And that's why before I send follow-ups, I'm like, everyone loves when I follow up with them and they love to hear.
That's a good mantra.
Because then that puts the positive vibe out there instead of being like, oh my gosh, I hate following up with people. Like everyone's annoyed. Then they're going to be annoyed because you're putting that out there.
100%.
That's really good. I'm going to do that.
And they are like, when you're excited, you could be selling like paper. Like honestly, like if you're excited, they're going to be excited too. Like I signed 8 people on BOGO, and I feel like it wasn't as much about the price as it was that I had a reason to be excited when I talked to them. So putting yourself in that mindset and saying that to yourself, Jenna, is such a great tip. It's so simple, but it's a great reminder.
Yeah, that's why I have sticky notes everywhere, so I can remember the little things that I want to tell myself, or else I'll just forget and just do all the things and forget about it. Another thing that's really helped me with like exposure and people seeing my posts and just being a human, because sometimes we get so caught up in like, I got to send these messages, I got to get these host posts up, like I got to do this, got to do that, that you forget about like these are people you're talking to and like actually building relationships with people. So you want to connect with people you're already friends with and do constructive interaction. So I'll just set a timer for like 10 minutes and I'll make sure I'm like engaging with my friends on my Facebook by actually genuinely commenting and loving, like dropping them hearts and interacting with them, because that just helps build relationships and then they'll see your posts more.
Yes.
And the other thing I learned is like actually going through and interacting on all the stories, like all the way through until there are no more stories. Because the people way at the end are the people who aren't really seeing your posts. So by you interacting with them, then they'll actually see it. Because I wasn't doing that before. And since I've started doing that, I've gotten a lot more interaction by actually going all the way through. And then it's less easy to get into rabbit holes by interacting with stories versus scrolling through your Facebook and then you're looking at ponytail holders.
That is such an amazing tip. And I'm just going to clarify for the people that are watching that are maybe a little bit newer to the business. When Jenna says, that people will see your stuff more, Facebook wants you to actually be social with it. So when you don't interact with your friends, certain friends on your Facebook, your stuff is never going to come up in their news feed. So the more you interact with someone, the more you see their stuff. So I see almost every single post that Jenna does because she and I talk on Messenger. We're already interacting on each other's stuff. So then therefore Facebook shows us more of each other's stuff. So just to clarify that for anybody who's maybe newer to the business and doesn't understand what that means.
Yeah. And that's why you want to make sure that you're doing some type of interaction before you post. So then more people will see your posts. So if you ever do a post and like no one commented or no one liked it, you also have to be interacting or else no one is going to interact with your stuff because Facebook's not going to show it to anybody because you're not being social. So,
totally.
yeah.
Great point. And one I forget to point out to people a lot, but I personally generally do interact at least with, a handful of people before putting up a post. I almost never just post and that's it. I always interact either by reacting to stories or dropping emojis on people's stuff. It doesn't take a long time. You just got to do it right before you go to post on your wall.
Yeah. Or even sending out happy birthday messages before you post.
That'll do it too. Yes. Love that.
So then you're sending out messages, you're following up, you're connecting with your warm market. And then you also want to be marketing, which is actually posting on your page, posting in your stories, and being intentional about what you post because this is your brand. So you aren't like you work for It Works and you're advertising their products, but you're not It Works, you're your own person. And now sometimes people will get started and just throw like, because we all did it and just like be kind of spammy and not really know what to post, but you're still you. So you just want to kind of sprinkle in the products as well and also be intentional, kind of like how Apple, the company, wouldn't be posting about cheeseburgers or high heels because that's not what their company
That's not what they make or sell.
Yeah, that's not what they make or sell. So you want to make sure that you're intentional about what you're posting and why you're posting it. And that way people know what you're about and know you're the person to come to. Do you have anything?
I love that. And, I think people often overthink what to post. And it's just like, what are you attracted to when you go through your Facebook? It's so funny because I think I was telling you, Jenna, the other day, I started noticing that a girl that I've known for years, she became a Beachbody coach. And so now all of a sudden she's posting more regularly and she's posting a lot about health and fitness. Well, she herself has actually lost quite a bit of weight by using the products and doing the program. And that's what we want to do continuously with It Works, right? Even if you've used one wrap and gotten results, even if you've tasted the greens one time and thought they tasted amazing, so therefore you're actually going to use them because I know I never took greens before It Works because they all tasted like crap.
Yep.
That's something that people want to hear about and want to see. So even if Caitlin's not talking about like her business with Beachbody, just seeing her in her workout clothes every day or like with a huge smile on her face. I haven't seen her smile so big in a long time. People want to see that. So even if it's not a business post, you with your family, you doing fun things, getting out for a walk. It doesn't have to be like earth shattering, and you can post the same kind of content over and over and over again because you do want to create a brand and you do want people to know what to expect when they come to your wall. So if you're ever like, oh, this isn't earth shattering, or I posted the same thing 3 times last week, it doesn't actually really matter. Create content that you would like to see yourself.
Like I miss seeing your boxing stuff.
Yeah. Thank you.
When I
Yeah.
first met you, that's what I saw a lot of. And I was like, I miss seeing that stuff.
I know. Well, my gym just reopened, so I'll be going again. But yeah, they want to get to know you, and the way they're going to do that is by seeing your posts about your family, your workouts, your food, your, what you're doing in your day, your home, whatever. It doesn't really matter, but like be you. And then you can incorporate the business into those types of posts.
Yeah. And another thing, I know a lot of people think like, oh, I just posted and everyone's going to see the same post, but you're posting more. You're not posting to a standing army where they're like, oh, what's Jenna going to post today? All of her friends are waiting for her to post. Like, they're busy, they have lives, and then
Yes.
algorithm
100%.
too, like they're not seeing everything you post either. So it's more like you're posting to a moving army of people versus people just standing there and waiting to see what you're posting. So you can be repetitive and be creative too, and changing things up, like saying the same thing in a different way, and it'll still be impactful for everyone.
Plus, you're adding people.
Yeah, and you're adding people to your network too, which is the next thing. You want to make sure that you're adding to your network daily as well. So always try to add like 5 to 10 people, and then also I'm, depending on how long you've been in the business for, deleting people too. So like if they're negative or haven't responded to any of my messages, if I sent like 3+ messages, or they're not active on their Facebook, then I'll just delete them. And that's what I use the happy birthdays too. Like if I sent them a happy birthday message last year and they never replied, like they're probably not active on Facebook. So
Bye, Felicia.
Yeah. Bye. And then another thing that we've also talked about a lot about is getting your 10 host to posts up a day and being consistent with that. And that's how myself and a lot of leaders are enrolling a lot of customers and distributors, is just by being consistent with doing host to post, which I know corporate is doing a lot of trainings. They did last month and they're doing more this month, which are really give a lot of tips and are super helpful as well.
And what I love about host to post is if you are someone who's working full time, or you are a stay-at-home mom full time like yourself, Jenna, you don't have a ton of time. You may be listening to us talk about this list and wondering, okay, that's great, but how do I incorporate this into a super busy day that I have? And so if you don't have a lot of time, just aiming for 10 host to post a day is going to get you a lot of this activity that we've just talked about incorporated in. What happens when you do host to post? You're going to add the people that you talk to that comment on the hoster's post. You're going to show people that you have both a product and an opportunity. You're going to be following up with the host to post people you've already talked to. So host to post is a great tool for busy people. It's a great tool for anybody that wants to incorporate all of the income producing activities into one sort of general umbrella of activity, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And it's really just important to figure out what works for you.
100%.
Do that.
And, again, watching the trainings, when I first started, we had trainings on all different kinds of topics, and I would top on any and every training that I could. I'd listen to them on, the bus on the way home from work. I would literally be like shoveling dinner at my face at 8 p.m. at night, listening to a Zoom. And the fact that I had to go listen to Zooms about lifestyle posting, listen to Zooms about, how to sign distributors, like all these different categories, we now have like one category that you can learn on and get so many results from. So like, as much as there's so many trainings on HAP, there's so many trainings on it because it's so amazing. Like, just listen to the trainings and like you'll know everything you need to know about building a successful business.
Yeah, which is why I love it. And that's basically all I do is host to post, because I don't have time to do anything else, because I can't be on my phone for more than 2 seconds when my little one's awake, or else she's like grabbing it and eating my papers and who knows what.
Exactly. So I love that. So thank you for saying that. And I see here that you have set goals for the next day. I love that. We often do the same things over and over again in the business, but when you're busy and you're distracted, you don't have a lot of time. Having like a checklist or something that you can quickly reference is so helpful because you don't have to waste any time at all, like sitting around and thinking about what you're going to do. So going back to people that are super busy or have a full-time job, what I used to do when I worked full-time and I was starting in this business is I would get up a little bit earlier in the mornings. I'd make my coffee. I'd sit down on my laptop with my coffee, and I would usually only really spend like half an hour. I would send out some happy birthday messages. This was before Host to Post. We're going way back. So you could obviously amend this checklist, but just to show you how I divided my time, I would sit down for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, do happy birthdays and respond to any messages I'd gotten like overnight. And then I would also plan or put up my first post of the day. So really, really simple. Didn't spend a lot of time on it. Didn't get up freakishly early, just a little bit earlier. And then I went about the rest of my day. I'd respond to questions as they came in between guests or on my lunch break. On my lunch break, then I'd usually send out, 20 messages, let's say, to my hundreds list, usually follow-ups, obviously, if they're already on your hundreds list, or anybody that had commented on a post, I would reach out to them and just say, hey, I saw you commented on this. Would you like more info? Then after work, I would usually listen to a training. Like I said, I used to work 10 hours a day, every day. So I would listen to a call, like while I was shoveling food at my face at dinner time, or while I was cooking dinner or cleaning up. You can listen to trainings when you're curling your hair. Like, you don't have to watch them. You just have to listen, right? So you can listen to them when you're doing almost anything else. And usually at that time at night, I would like add a couple friends and set out a few more messages. I often found that I was not productive at night because I was so exhausted from the day. So morning or lunch really was my time to shine. And then I would catch up on the weekends. So you don't need a lot of time. You don't need like hours and hours a day to do this business. You just need to be intentional and be really consistent each day. Otherwise, if you put it off for days in a row, you're never going to be able to catch up. So just getting those host to posts out every day and responding to the people that respond, if you do that every day, you will build a huge business. Like, seriously. And just make sure you're posting and consistent with that. It's honestly really simple.
It is. Just a matter
of taking this list, dividing it up into like morning, noon, and night, or however your brain works it out. Like Jenna was saying, set that timer or set that activity goal of like, okay, I have 20 minutes left on my lunch break. I'm going to send 15 messages. Amazing.
Yeah, I love that. And I know when I first started, I was working 4 jobs at that time. So I was like taking my phone with me when to go to the bathroom so I could respond to people. And then, like Krista said, I was getting up a little bit earlier so then I could send out happy birthday messages, get my first post up. And this was before stories was even a thing. Now I posted my stories. Like, they didn't have that back then.
Yes.
And before Host to Post was huge, like, and we were doing giveaways, but now I try and get a giveaway post up, and then that way throughout the day, as I have time, I can respond to those people, have them put posts up, and then at night when I'm brain dead, then just responding to those people.
And then it's a lot of copy and pasting at that point anyways, and that's the other thing with HAP is you're basically just giving people the post. You don't have to really think about that.
Yeah.
You're just going ahead and then, I find what works for me is happening for the same, things over and over again. So I don't have to really think about that either. I know the coffee, like the back of my hand, I have the scripts in my phone. So it's really, really easy to talk about it.
Well, that's the best thing is to stick to one product until you really, really know it. Or if you're really busy, stick with one product. Then it's just easy to, okay, this is where I'm at. And this is, because if you're doing, multiple products, then it's like, what was I even talking to this person about? What was I even talking to this person about? Like, yeah, makes it so much harder.
I love that.
Yeah. Do you have any questions, Kat?
No, I'm good. The only thing that I changed up about you have on here to set your goals for the next day. Originally, I had set up my productive app that we got on to like the same thing every day. And it became kind of just like, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
So now what I do is every night, I just started this like 4 days ago. Every night I go in and I set my productive app for the next day of what I'm going to do so that I can change up my day. And that's when I figure out the posts I'm going to do for the next day and things like that. So that's helped me a lot. So I like that you have like set your goals for the next day, because when I had the productive app set up for the same thing every single day, it became kind of just.
And that's totally cool. Like, this is the nice thing about this business is you can run it however you want. And there's kind of natural ebbs and flows, you know, throughout the week anyway. So I like that you're kind of just embracing that. Like, we obviously do like follow up Friday, right? Like, you're going to follow up more on a Friday because people get paid.
Right.
So like, that's just one example of like structuring your days like slightly differently. And yeah, like, again, like, you can run your business however you want. And I get a little bit the same as you. So like, there's core things that I'm never going to miss doing every day. But like, certain days you can maybe follow up with all the potential distributors that you have, or certain days you're going to talk to all your existing loyals and see if they need anything or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Depending what happened today is going to really plan my day for tomorrow. I mean, there's the core things that I have to do. There are things I absolutely do. But what happens today is going to definitely affect what I do tomorrow. So I like to plan all that out so I don't forget anything.
Yeah.
That's an amazing organizational tip, because you don't have to be super organized. You just take a few minutes at the end of every day and be like, okay, what am I going to make sure I get done tomorrow? And again, then you don't waste a bunch of time being like, what was I going to do tomorrow? Like, do today, you know, like, you're just like, you just do it. Yeah. That's honestly awesome.
Yeah. That's the best way to do it. Cause if I don't plan it out, then I'm like, okay, I know the things I need to do, but like, what are the other things I need to do? I don't know. You spend so much time thinking about it that you don't actually get the action. Yeah.
Or you find yourself looking for pictures for a story, and then all of a sudden you're like, what was I doing in my camera roll again? But if you have it written down, you're like, oh, right, I was trying to put up a story about coffee. Okay, boom, let's just get it done and then move on to the next one as quickly as possible, you know?
Yeah.
And again, more about that intentionality rather than having like oodles of time. Nobody does really have a bunch of extra time in this business. Otherwise we wouldn't be here. So like, just, bang it out, get on to the next thing.
Yep.
This was great. I think, you know, honestly, we just covered a really nice, short, simple daily method of operations. There's obviously more in-depth trainings about each topic. Like, again, if you want to really know how to get 10 haps up a day, you know, there's the hap tracker post training for that, you know, like.
Yeah, there's great stuff in there for haps.
There is.
Lots of
my favorite trainings I've ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah.
They're really good.
And I typed up the file so I can send the link like in the team chat.
Nice.
So get the format to copy and paste with the numbers and stuff. So I'm like, I'll just make a Google Drive.
Well, I so appreciate you doing that, Jenna. This is great. And I'm actually going to save this and print it out. So thank you so much.
Good. And let's see all the notes.
It's so good.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing this, Jenna.
You're welcome. Look forward to seeing you all next week.
You rock, babe. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye.